Flashing warning for epileptic. That word is hard for me to say. Okay, you guys, I have a very fun one for you guys today. I know I thought it was bad when they tried to slander me to the caseworker and then to the neighbors after that didn't work. But this time they tried with a cop. They literally called 911 on me and made up some stuff. It was really early in the morning. I didn't even get to take a shower or even get my dad ready for the day. It was very early in the morning when this had happened. Basically, I was woken up from sleep by my dad. He was calling me. He needed help with something. So I went over there into the next room and I went towards the kitchen. I was helping him with something. I can't remember exactly what it was. But at that moment, I could hear Josh talking outside. Josh and Clarissa is my neighbors that I've had to deal with because they are really bad with gossiping and stalking me, not really minding their business. They just have too much time on their hands. They're that miserable couple that really wants to make other people miserable. So when I heard Josh standing outside, I heard him talking. All I could hear was, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it. And I didn't really know what they were talking about or who he was talking to. But I remember thinking, oh, it's that weird guy, that's always gossiping. Like he's a grown old dude, which makes it even weirder. Like he's literally balding and he wears like a hat every day. So, you'd expect something wiser from a man his age, but it's just something he's known for in this neighborhood. So I heard him outside talking, and that was the first thought in my head, but I just kept tending to whatever I was doing for my dad. I can't remember if I was making him some cereal or what that morning. Mind you, I barely got woken up, and I had to get up though because my dad is disabled. I'm his caretaker, but I was half awake, but that was just mentally one of the things I had noted in my head was, oh, I can hear Josh talking outside through the kitchen window, because our walls are really thin, so I can usually hear if they're gossiping outside or something like that. It was much worse than just some neighborhood gossip though, because just a few moments later, we got a really loud knock at the door, and I opened the door, and there was a police officer standing there. I was kind of confused, and I asked him, do you want to come in? Do you want to talk to me? And he was just like, well, I just want to talk to you guys about something. And I was like, well, do you want to come in and talk to my dad? And he was like, no, I wanted to talk to you. And I was like, me? And I was just still confused and tired, half awake. Hold on. Before we get down to the point though, I remember there was this thing I mentioned specifically. I was because I remember I did hear Josh talking outside, so I figured, oh, he must have been talking to the cop. So I did mention to the cop before we got down to the point of talking about why the cop was there. I told him, look, if you guys talk to Josh and Clarissa, you should know that they love antagonizing neighbors around here. Plenty of neighbors have had problems with them, and they are slanderers and gossipers. And they love calling the cops on people, but they don't tell the part about how they antagonize the situations and how they stalk people too. So the cop was just there whoa, but then he got down to the point of finally telling me, well, we got a call because you were being accused of pulling a gun on someone during an argument. Either he said on Friday night or Halloween night. I can't remember exactly what it was. I was just like, what? This bitch is stupid. It was Clarissa who made the call, and Josh was right there next to her going along with it. Later, it occurred to me that Josh, when he was saying, I'm gonna fight it, he was talking about a legal case. They were going to set me up with a fake police report saying that I pulled a gun on them. Again, he was talking to the cop, so it just made sense. I looked at the cop, I was like, look, sir, I have a firearm safety certificate. I did own the gun. I am very publicly known to be pro-guns, okay? Anyone on my social media, they know this. And also, my dad, he did go around the neighborhood. He did tell people, like, he's a happy Republican with a daughter who's pro-guns. But I've never pulled out my gun just because of an argument, ever. I would not do that. I'm the type of person who has been around in the streets, and I know you are never supposed to ever pull out a weapon unless you're really needing to use it. Because if you flex on people, it could get into a very heated situation, and it's just not a good move. I'm that type of person, okay? They don't know me, though. They don't know this about me. I don't know how they found out I had a gun. I don't know if they've been stalking my social media or if they've been talking to the neighbors and maybe someone mentioned it to them. Like I've said in my past videos, all they talk about is me sometimes. Like, even to the neighbors have noticed, like, damn, they talk about you way too much. Anyway, so somehow they knew I had a gun, so they used it in their lie for the police report to try and get me arrested. So here's the thing, though. I looked at the cop and I'm like, hold on, yeah, I do have a firearm safety certificate and I did have a gun, but like I said, they are slanderers. And here's the thing, they didn't know this, but I got rid of it. I basically gave it back to the DOJ I had bought from. He's a very fine gentleman, very educated, very nice guy. I gave him a really good deal for my gun, like several weeks ago. I haven't had my gun for several weeks. Okay, so as they were trying to formulate this plan against me, they didn't even realize I don't even have a gun. Okay? And I've only dealt with one DOJ in all my transactions. When I gave him my case, I gave him the full package too. He assessed the gun. He saw that it was very clean, very legit. All my ammunition was very clean and all accounted for like it was supposed to be. There was no traces of anything, no gun smoke, okay? I didn't even have to pop open my cleaning package because that's how clean it was. I just let him have the whole thing, even the cleaning package. Honestly, I gave the guy a really good deal. So this gun sale had taken place several weeks before they had this brilliant idea to try and slander me, saying that I put my gun to her during an argument. I was like, officer, I don't even have my gun, okay? I was just like, this is freaking laughable. And it was just a coincidence too, because here's the thing. The reason why I sold my gun back to the DOJ was because I was having some problems back at home and I had this, feeling like I might want to go out to Texas. I didn't want to take my gun to Texas, even though they have more gun rights than California does. But I didn't want to take it with me because I wanted to go see my family and I didn't want to have my gun with me while I go to my family's house over there in Texas. Also, I didn't want to leave it here in California. So I just decided to sell it back to the DOJ. And, the DOJ, I had this whole conversation with him too. So I gave him a really good deal though because I was in a rush to get rid of it. I was like, if I have to last minute hop on a plane to Texas, I don't want my gun around. So that's why I gave him a really good deal for it. Sometimes I just have these really spontaneous moments where I just want to pack up and leave somewhere. Although I have a lot of responsibilities and obligations, so I didn't really take the flight, but I did get the gun out of the way. And it's kind of a good thing too, because that really had me like 2 steps ahead of these narcs. They really tried to accuse me of pulling my gun on them when I hadn't even had it for several weeks. So obviously I started getting very emotional after like this starts settling in my skin a little bit more as I'm talking to the cop. And so I'm starting to get angrier with the situation. I'm just like, they need to leave me alone. Like, they're literally obsessed with me. They're stalking me and harassing me and sending anyone they can after me. They've slandered me to a caseworker, to the neighbors. I've had to deal with stalking from certain neighbors because of them. This weird hate vibe from certain flying monkeys of theirs. And they really need to leave me alone. is what I was telling the officer. I think I even cussed while talking to him. Oh, this slang really needs to leave me alone. He was very calm about the situation and he listened to my whole rant. So, kudos to him for not getting as emotional as I was, because I was honestly getting very irritated. I was like thinking to myself, this is a waste of my time. This is a waste of my dad's time, who is sitting there and he was trying to tell me to calm down while he looked like he wanted to cry. And the cop, I was just like, this is a waste of his time too. Like, they're over here making fake police reports trying to get the cops to arrest me. And this is a waste of their time. They're too broke to even be paying this much attention to me. Okay, I got bands. Okay, I've got my assets. Why are they so occupied with trying to mess with my life when clearly they should be worried about their assets and their money, like I'm worried about my assets and my money? I don't know. I don't get it. So, yeah, I did cuss a bit of a storm up. The cop was very calm. He left after a while. He said he couldn't really prove anybody's statements, but I thought to myself, I don't even have to do too much digging to prove them wrong. I know for sure when I had a gun and when I didn't have a gun, and I didn't have a gun for several weeks when they accused me of pulling my gun on them. Okay, so I was just like, this is almost exhausting, but I was like, no, I'm gonna get ready. I'm gonna get my dad dressed for the day, get me dressed for the day. I did have the urge to go back to sleep after that, but I was just like, no, I gotta go get some stuff straight, because I thought to myself, I have to get a restraining order. It's too much. I'm gonna have to start getting restraining orders on her and her flying monkeys, probably. Like I've said before, Ruth is another flying monkey of hers. Ruth did the same thing. The whole gossip slander thing. Okay, so I don't know if I've told you guys this yet, but basically one day I was calling out Ruth, who was an old friend of Clarissa's. They used to be gossip buddies and they really tried to team up on me. Like, they're old women and their boyfriends, okay? But it didn't work, okay? Because this is what happened. So basically, I caught them, doing this weird stalker thing where they would yell stuff, trying to get my attention from within my bedroom. I guess they thought that I was in the restroom though, because her boyfriend was caught standing right next to my restroom window, which is really awkward because it's in an area that's not really a walkway. Really, nobody has business standing there. So I posted it on Facebook, and then I went live and I went outside and I called her out. I was like, why are you guys always trying to get my attention? Stop trying to sneak diss me. You guys are doing this when you guys already know. You guys don't really want it. They don't even want to have a real ass conversation. That's why they gossip. Like predicted, she was like, I'm going to call the cops on you for stealing my water hose. She basically accused me of stealing her water hose as a response to being caught. And I was just like, oh my freaking God. Did she really just change the subject like that? It's a gaslighting tactic called deflection, basically. Of course, she just said that though, because I clearly caught her husband standing in the cuts of the building, right next to my restroom window. Ooh. To give y'all an image, he looks like that creepy pedophile guy that was on the movie The Devil's Advocate. She's an enabler too, though. I think she's too insecure to, break up with him. And she's the type of woman who would rather envy victims of his weird ass ways. I was like, what? The water hose you gave me? She gave me her phone number twice. And also a water hose because she was trying really hard to be my friend, until I realized she was a gossip and a fake female. I don't really hang out with them. She got really angry. She did the same thing, threatened to call the cops on a fake report. Like I've explained before, though, I've literally laid all the details in stone, especially on this podcast. The whole situation where I met Ruth and she gave me the water hose, I've already talked about that ages ago, okay? Ages before she even tried to make that accusation. And I think she's smart, though, because the cops didn't come to my house, so maybe she's smart enough not to make fake police reports. I don't know. Or maybe she's not. I don't know. Anyways, I told her I'm keeping the water hose. she gave it to me fair and square. So it's not my fault she regrets her actions, and she regrets ruining relationships with her neighbors, because who even does that? You're living next to someone. Why would you want to piss them off? I don't know. So anyways, you can see where I'm saying like they operate the same. But I was just like, thinking to myself, who would lie to a cop? Who would lie to the police force? That is insane. That is like, go get help now. Hurry up. Instead of being a problem in society, okay? Okay, anyways, let me go back to the original story though about Josh and Clarissa's attempt to slander me to the cops, okay? After the cops left, I resumed tending to my dad and I got him dressed so he can go out that day. He was on his way out. I'm not sure if it was by coincidence or if they like purposefully went out there while he was out there. I'm not sure. But he ended up running into them and he started talking to them about the issue at hand. He was like, you guys are always lying. And Clarissa insisted on saying she pulled a gun out. Josh low-key threw her under the bus because as they were talking, he said, well, I was just going along with what she was saying. That was noted the most in my head in their conversation because I thought to myself, whoa, he low-key just admitted he didn't really know about the situation. He was stating stuff like it was facts to the cops, but he really didn't even know what he was talking about. And he low-key admitted it was all Clarissa's idea and he was just going along with it. So I was just like, there, he said it. He knows he's lying. He knows he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And he shouldn't have said that because obviously I was listening. The whole time they were talking, I was like some yards away. I was standing by my door. I wasn't dressed yet because I got my dad dressed first. That's why he went out first. And I was more just standing by my door on the porch. And I was yelling at them like, hey, you guys are a waste of our time. Like, stop lying to everybody. Stop lying to neighbors. And stop lying to the cops. Like, I was putting them on blast while my dad and them were arguing about them lying. And mentally, that was the biggest take from the conversation was what Josh said about Clarissa. I might seem like I'm ghetto and dumb on the outside, but internally, I'm always calculating stuff, okay? I'm always taking in whatever they're saying and I'm gonna use it, okay? I'm actually shocked he admitted that, and Clarissa was right next to him when he said that. I'm surprised my dad didn't realize what he said either, but I think my dad was so angry and he just wanted to get his piece in and rant to them about his feelings that he wasn't really paying attention to what Josh said. And I wish I was recording, dude. I really do, but I was like, okay, that's a really good take, though, because he really just said that, and he didn't think I was gonna catch that, I don't think. Mind you, Clarissa's still telling my dad, like, she pulled out a gun, and she even, like, pointed to me in the conversation, and I told her, don't point at me, because it's just so irritating, like, it's just so irritating. So basically, yes, that happened. After that conversation, my dad was just done with it, he left, and I shut the door, I got myself dressed, and I was like, I have to do something. I have to get a restraining order because they are too obsessed with me. So yes, that is my next step. I gotta get a restraining order on these weirdos. So I went to the police station. While I was getting my papers together, one of the things I got was the police report number to the police call that they made. So it's a whole process, like I said. They said you gotta wait, unfortunately, to get a copy of the report that the police officer is going to make. It takes about 10 business days for them to get an official report. And I remember the police officer that came that day, he did tell me, I gotta write down what they said and what you said, basically. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But I didn't want to walk out without getting the police number though, so I was kind of like insisting. And finally, she was like, okay, she gave me the police report, and I think maybe the officer's name it was, because that was one of the things I had asked for. Because I was like, well, who do I call when you guys do make the report official? Because I want that report copy. It's going to be one of my reasons for freaking getting a restraining order. Not only that, but all the other nonsense. So, I mean, they really thought that was going to get me, though. And that's kind of messed up because if you think about it, I am a caretaker of a very disabled man. So, high key, they're really trying to take a disabled person's only caretaker. And he can't even walk. He can't even get up to, serve himself food. And they really smile in his face all the time and try and be friendly with him. And there I was, free as a bird. I still even was able to get dressed and walk into the police station and literally talk about what happened. And, it's just crazy. Like, wow, they couldn't even put handcuffs on me. But they really tried it. Okay, thank you for listening to this podcast. If you guys have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. If you guys have constructive criticism, I would gladly take it. Like, if you think I could improve in one way or another on my podcast, that would be awesome. I don't want trolls, though, like I've said before. Thank you so much for listening. I'm editing this right now and I'm going to post it, but I just want everybody to know there was a huge change in the circumstances. Turns out I'm not going to do this restraining order. I'm going to just have to straight leave town because all this obsession with me and the antagonizing has escalated my life to places it hasn't been in a long time. Like, even my dad, he cannot emotionally handle it, and he has his own problems that it was just out of control. Like, it was evoking some stuff out of my dad that hasn't been evoked in a while, and I will talk about that. There's like a big bloodbath in my room. Well, I shouldn't say bloodbath, like that's kind of a exaggeration, but there was a huge brawl, and I will explain everything. I don't think I want to show the pictures of it on YouTube though, because I don't want to get banned for showing blood and blood everywhere. But I do want to talk about it because it's going to be the reason why I'm leaving to Texas. And, like I said before, there were problems I was already having at home, and just them antagonizing me constantly and stalking me constantly, it just made problems even worse. It was so freaking hectic, but whatever. I did post the video of the hellish blood all over my room on Facebook, but I don't think I want to do that on YouTube. I think I want to keep it on podcasts and stuff because I don't want to get in trouble for showing that on YouTube. Anyways, that will be probably the next video that I'm gonna do. Also, in the next video, I'm going to be discussing these weird moments where, I would notice Clarissa, when she didn't have anyone to gossip to about me, sometimes she would even go outside and gossip to her cat about me, which is wow, Trini, that's insane. Really? She did that? Yes, she did that. I'm just saying, I don't even think a restraining order is going to be good enough because even the police force, at this point, there's nothing I can do. I gotta move. I gotta go to Texas. So that's what I'm gonna do. And I just decided to scratch all of what I made. Yeah, and I am editing this video. I'm still gonna release it because that was originally my take. But yeah, I am going to Texas. I'm flying out today. So yeah. By the time I release this, I'll probably already be gone. Okay, thank you for listening again. Like I said, goodbye.